You know, if you ever decide to watch this film for yourself, there's gonna be one point when you're watching the film thinking to yourself, huh, now I know how Squidward feels about SpongeBob. Hey guys, this is Jason. I'm reviewing Saving Bikini Bottom, a Sandy Cheeks movie directed by Liza Johnson, and it is a new SpongeBob movie. In this film, all of Bikini Bottom has been kidnapped by Wanda Sykes and her two henchmen for her evil schemes in Texas, and both Sandy and SpongeBob have to work together to go to Texas where they encounter cowboy snakes, tornadoes, and Sandy's family. When I was a kid, I loved SpongeBob growing up. I watched a lot of the episodes when they aired. I would own a lot of the VHS tapes. I would play some of the video games, and I saw the first film in theaters back in 2004. But when I reached my teen years, I stopped watching the show because the newer episodes weren't all that funny. They weren't as good like the first three seasons were, and as an adult, I didn't watch any of the spin-off shows they made, and to be honest, none of that is as good as the first three seasons of the show because those seasons are gold. They have some of the best episodes of all time and some of my favorite episodes like Chocolate with Nuts, Band Geeks, Graveyard Shift, Fun, Rock Bottom. Like those episodes are a lot of fun. Then there are the films, which I love the first film as a kid and I still think it's a lot of fun as an adult. The second was okay, it can be fun at times. The third film was very mediocre and pretty forgettable, but the animation was really good and Keanu Reeves is freaking hilarious as the Sage. And now we have this film, this time around focusing on Sandy Cheeks while SpongeBob is a side character and is also helping her. And to be honest, I was kind of interested in watching this film, mostly because the inner kid in me still feels nostalgic for SpongeBob, but I wasn't like super excited for the film because I haven't watched any of the newer episodes and I didn't have much looking forward to the film. I was just thinking that this film would be okay. I mean, I knew it would be goofy, but is it okay? No. Guys, oh God, I did not enjoy this film. This is honestly one of the worst movies I have seen all year, and it's easily the worst SpongeBob film, and I'm kind of surprised to say that because I loved SpongeBob growing up. But not much really worked in this film for me because most of this film is just a bunch of humor and jokes that are supposed to fill up the runtime, making this film feel more like filler, and it really doesn't work for the film. Most of the humor is just stuff we've already seen, like they use the "my leg" gag like a couple of times. Like most of the humor is just stuff we've seen from the show so many times. Now, I know that that's the usual humor from the show. I get that that's supposed to be from the show, but the problem is this movie doesn't do anything different with its humor. It just uses the same stuff over and over again, making it feel boring. This movie is pretty fast, but what I mean by that is that stuff is flying everywhere and there's so many gags being thrown at you that are supposed to be funny but really aren't, and it really doesn't have a lot of downtime for the characters or for the plot. Like it just moves on to other scenes really fast without giving us a real story. Like a good example of that is the opening scene where Sandy has this big musical number and then the villains just take Bikini Bottom already, like that fast, without any like plot progression or like feeling like a movie. And unfortunately, the characters in this film don't really do much for the film. Most of them are just their usual one-dimensional selves from the film. Like you got SpongeBob, the goofball that wants to help, Patrick being his dumb friend, Mr. Krabs being the money-loving boss, Squidward constantly getting annoyed by SpongeBob's shenanigans, and Sandy being the only smart one of the group. I get that's supposed to be what they are in the show, but at least make something different out of them. Make them feel like characters for a feature film, not just for an 11-minute episode. And again, besides their one-dimensional tropes, they really don't do much as characters. I mean, maybe they give a little bit of characterization to Sandy when we meet her family, but that stuff is only mentioned in 15 minutes, and then it's not mentioned a whole lot after that. Not even the new characters for the film help the film. Like, the main villain of the film, played by Wanda Sykes, isn't a very interesting villain. Like, her motive isn't very interesting interesting, and her reason for wanting to take Bikini Bottom doesn't make any sense, even by SpongeBob standards. And her two henchmen are just these dumb henchmen that have a lot of humor that really falls flat. But I think one of my main issues with this film is that this film is missing one crucial thing that's supposed to make this feel like a movie, and that is get us to care about what is going on. Like, why should we care about these characters that are very annoying and goofy throughout the entire film without them explaining why we should care? It's like this movie assumes that everyone has already seen the show and they think they know all the characters, and if that's the case, then this movie's already doomed from the get-go. Because if you didn't watch SpongeBob growing up and you don't know any of the characters in that show, you have no idea what's going on, and you're not even gonna care about what's going on. Now, if you did explain the characters on who they are, then that would get some new fans to understand the characters and maybe get them to watch the show. But this movie decides not to do that. It just decides to just throw it out the window just for some stupid and terrible gags. Even the animation is subpar. It doesn't look very good. Now, I get that this is made for Netflix. It's not made for theaters like the other films were, but when you compare it to those films were trying to do something different with the animation, like with the backgrounds or like some of the action that they would show. While yeah, still looking like it came out of the SpongeBob show, but still looking like it was made for a feature film in theaters. Like, even the third film had really good animation, despite the fact that that film is very mediocre. But this film really doesn't have a whole lot of that. You get a little bit of the nice backgrounds in Bikini Bottom, but they don't really appear a whole lot because most of this film takes place in a live action setting where SpongeBob and Sandy are the two only animated characters walking around. This movie also decides to blend both animation and live action together, and when they blend together, they do not look good at all. Like, you can really tell whenever a live action character is picking up an animated character, and you can really tell that it just looks fake. Like the SpongeBob movie Sponge Out of Water from 2015, where the characters were on dry land and it's in live action, that movie did that blending better. The animation also does something that is very unpleasant. Like, it has some reactions from the characters and other imagery that just look terrifying, like the kind that you would see in a horror movie, like the kind where it feels unintentionally horrifying and too creepy for kids to watch. Like, there's this one scene where Wanda Sykes is trying to feed her fish, and then you see them both later by the end of the film, and the way they use that part, it just looks horrifying. Now, if I had to find like any good things about this film, then I would say like the voice acting is pretty good. They all still sound like their characters and they play their roles well. And there are a couple of moments where I chuckled a bit, and that's it. Everything else in this film besides those two films is just terrible. As someone who loved SpongeBob growing up, I did not enjoy this film at all. I hated it. And you're probably thinking, Jason, calm down. This movie's made for kids. You're being too harsh on it. This movie is supposed to be made for them. And maybe I am. Maybe I am being too harsh on the film. But I really don't see kids enjoying this film all that much. I think they'll have it on, but they won't watch it a whole lot. They'll just be doing something else, like play with their toys or something. And they might not enjoy the creepy imagery that this film has unintentionally. Saving Bikini Bottom, a Sandy Cheeks movie, sucked. The animation is very subpar and sometimes terrifying. The humor is terrible, and the characters are very one-dimensional and really annoying, and it's easily the worst SpongeBob film. And this is coming from someone who loved SpongeBob as a kid. I wanted this film to at least be enjoyable, but this film really disappointed me, even though I didn't have a lot of high hopes for this film. But as a SpongeBob fan, I am vastly disappointed. I'm gonna give Saving Bikini Bottom, a Sandy Cheeks movie, a D. If you want to watch a good SpongeBob film, film, then I recommend you either watch the first film from 2004 or the second film from 2015, or heck, I would rather watch Sponge on the Run over this film. So guys, if you have seen Saving Bikini Bottom, what did you think about it? Did you think it's a fun movie and thought I was being too hard on it, or do you think that this film is one of the worst movies you've ever seen? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing, because it helps my channel grow. Hit the notification bell so you know what other videos I'm posting. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.